What if I told you that everything you've been taught about how men fall in love is completely backwards? That the romantic fairy tale of love at first sight, the idea that emotional connection should come before physical attraction, isn't how most men actually experience the journey from attraction to love. What if I told you that understanding this fundamental difference could be the key to unlocking better relationships, deeper connections, and finally making sense of dating patterns that have confused people for generations? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most controversial and misunderstood aspects of male psychology. We're going to explore why men typically experience lust first and love after, and why this sequence isn't a character flaw or a sign of shallowness, but rather a fundamental aspect of how many men are wired to form romantic connections. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm all about breaking down the real psychology behind attraction and relationships. No sugar, coating, no politically correct nonsense, just the raw truth about how human connections actually work. And today's topic is going to challenge everything you think you know about male attraction, emotional development, and the path from physical desire to genuine love. I know this is going to be uncomfortable for some of you. Our culture has spent decades trying to convince us that physical attraction shouldn't matter, that real love transcends the physical, and that focusing on appearance is somehow shallow or wrong. But here's the thing, reality doesn't care about our ideals. And if we want to build successful relationships, we need to understand how attraction actually works, not how we wish it worked. So buckle up, because we're about to explore some truths that might challenge your worldview, but will definitely give you a clearer understanding of male psychology and how to navigate the complex world of modern relationships. The uncomfortable truth about male psychology. Let's start with the elephant in the room. For the vast majority of men, physical attraction comes first and emotional connection follows. This isn't about being shallow, superficial, or unable to appreciate deeper qualities. This is about understanding the fundamental wiring of male psychology and how most men actually develop romantic feelings. Now, before anyone gets defensive, let me be crystal clear about what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that men are incapable of deep emotional connection. I'm not saying that physical attraction is the only thing that matters to men. And I'm definitely not saying that men don't value personality, intelligence, humor, and all the other qualities that make someone a great partner. What I am saying is that for most men, physical attraction serves as the gateway to everything else. It's the initial spark that opens the door to emotional investment, vulnerability, and eventually genuine love. Without that physical component, many men struggle to develop the romantic feelings necessary for a committed relationship. Society has sold us this beautiful narrative that love should be blind, that true connection happens on a purely emotional or intellectual level first, and that physical attraction should be secondary or even irrelevant. Hollywood has fed us countless stories of people falling in love with personalities before faces, of emotional connections that transcend physical appearance. And while these stories make for great entertainment, they don't reflect the reality of how most men actually experience attraction and develop romantic feelings. The truth is, men are visual creatures. This isn't a societal construct or a learned behavior, it's biological. The male brain processes visual stimuli differently than the female brain. Men are hardwired to assess potential partners based on visual cues first, and this initial assessment determines whether they'll be motivated to pursue a deeper connection. To understand why this sequence exists, we need to look at the evolutionary psychology behind male attraction patterns. For thousands of years, men have been programmed to quickly assess potential mates based on visual indicators of health, fertility, and genetic compatibility. This wasn't about being shallow, it was about survival and successful reproduction. Physical attraction, from an evolutionary perspective, is the brain's way of identifying genetically compatible partners. Those split-second assessments that happen when a man sees an attractive woman aren't just random preferences, they're the result of millions of years of evolutionary programming designed to identify the best potential partners for passing on genes. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but we're not cavemen anymore. We're evolved, sophisticated beings who should be able to move beyond these primitive instincts. And you're right, we are more than our evolutionary programming. But here's the thing, you can't just turn off millions of years of biological wiring because it's inconvenient or doesn't align with modern ideals. The male brain is still wired to respond to visual stimuli in ways that trigger attraction and romantic interest. This doesn't make men slaves to their biology, but it does mean that fighting against these natural patterns instead of understanding and working with them is a recipe for frustration and failed relationships. Think about it this way, physical attraction is like the ignition system in a car. You can have the most beautiful, well-maintained vehicle in the world, but if the ignition doesn't work, the car isn't going anywhere. Similarly, a woman can have an amazing personality, incredible intelligence, and all the qualities that make for a great long-term partner, but if there's no physical spark to ignite a man's romantic interest, the relationship is likely to remain platonic. The neuroscience behind the sequence, let's dive deeper into what's actually happening in the male brain when this sequence unfolds. When a man experiences physical attraction, his brain releases a cocktail of chemicals including dopamine, norepinephrine, and testosterone. These chemicals create feelings of excitement, motivation, and desire, not just sexual desire, but the desire to pursue, to get to know, to invest time and energy. This chemical cascade is what motivates men to make the effort to connect on deeper levels. The physical attraction creates the energy and motivation necessary to overcome the natural inertia and social anxiety that might otherwise prevent someone from pursuing a relationship. It's what makes a man think, I want to get to know this person better. I want to spend time with them. I want to discover what they're like beneath the surface. Without this initial chemical motivation, many men simply don't feel compelled to invest the time and emotional energy required to develop deeper feelings. They might appreciate someone's personality in a platonic way. They might enjoy their company as a friend, but they won't experience the drive to pursue them romantically. This is why you'll often hear men say things like, she's a great person, but I just don't feel that spark. Or I can see why someone would be attracted to her, but she's just not my type. They're not being cruel or superficial. They're honestly describing the absence of that initial chemical reaction that would motivate them to pursue romantic feelings. The difference between lust and love now, here's where it becomes crucial to understand the distinction between lust and love because they're definitely not the same thing. Lust is that initial physical attraction. It's immediate, intense, and purely biological. It's the brain's way of saying, this person has genetic markers that indicate they'd be a good mate. Lust is simple, straightforward, and doesn't require any deeper knowledge of the person. Love, on the other hand, is infinitely more complex. Love develops over time through shared experiences, emotional intimacy, vulnerability, compatibility, and genuine care for another person's well-being. Love requires knowing someone deeply, their hopes, fears, dreams, quirks, and flaws. Love is what happens when lust creates the space for emotional connection to flourish. The sequence isn't lust instead of love, it's lust as the pathway to love. For many men, that initial physical attraction is what creates the motivation to pursue getting to know someone on a deeper level. It's what makes them want to spend time together, share experiences, gradually open up emotionally, and eventually develop the kind of deep, meaningful connection that we call love. Think of it like this: lust is the spark that lights the fire, but love is the steady flame that keeps burning long after the initial excitement fades. You need both elements for a truly fulfilling relationship. The spark gets things started, but the steady flame is what sustains a relationship through challenges, changes, and the inevitable ups and downs of life. Many people make the mistake of thinking that because lust fades, it wasn't real or meaningful. But that's like saying that because you no longer feel the excitement of learning to drive, driving isn't important. The initial intensity of physical attraction naturally evolves into something deeper and more stable, but that doesn't diminish its importance in getting the relationship started. Why this matters for modern relationships, understanding this sequence is absolutely crucial for navigating modern relationships successfully. It explains so many dating dynamics that otherwise seem confusing or contradictory. It's why a man might be incredibly attracted to someone physically but struggle to commit if there's no deeper emotional connection developing. It's also why someone might seem perfect on paper, intelligent, funny, successful, kind, but fail to spark romantic interest if that initial physical chemistry isn't there. This understanding can save people from a lot of heartache and confusion. How many times have you heard someone say, I don't understand why he's not interested. We have so much in common. We get along great. We have amazing conversations. The missing piece is often that physical spark that would motivate him to see her as a romantic partner rather than just a friend. On the flip side, it also explains why some relationships that start with intense physical attraction ultimately fail. Physical attraction can get things started, but it can't sustain a relationship long term. If a couple doesn't develop genuine emotional connection, shared values, and deep compatibility, the relationship will eventually fizzle out once the initial lust fades. The healthiest relationships are those where both elements are present and reinforcing each other. The physical attraction provides the initial motivation and ongoing spark, while the emotional connection provides the depth, stability, and meaning that make love last. the modern dating dilemma in our current dating culture. We've created this expectation that people should connect on a purely emotional or intellectual level first, and that physical attraction should somehow be secondary or develop over time. We've been told that focusing on physical appearance is shallow, that real love transcends the physical, and that if we're truly evolved, we should be able to form romantic connections based purely on personality and compatibility. But this goes against how many people, especially men, naturally develop romantic feelings. The result is a lot of frustration, confusion, and mismatched expectations. Women might wonder why men seem to focus so much on physical aspects early in dating, while men might feel guilty about their natural attraction patterns or struggle to force romantic feelings in relationships that lack physical chemistry. Dating apps have made this even more complicated. We're essentially asking people to make romantic connections based on a few photos and a brief bio, which puts enormous pressure on physical attraction while providing very little opportunity for emotional connection to develop. This can lead to a lot of superficial connections that don't go anywhere, or to people feeling like they're being judged purely on their appearance. The key is understanding that physical attraction and emotional connection aren't mutually exclusive, they're complementary. Instead of fighting against natural attraction patterns, we need to learn how to work with them while also prioritizing the development of deeper connections. Common misconceptions and myths. Let's address some of the most common misconceptions about this topic. First, the idea that men who prioritize physical attraction are somehow less capable of deep love or commitment. This simply isn't true. Some of the most devoted, loving husbands and partners are men who were initially drawn to their wives through physical attraction. The presence of physical attraction doesn't diminish someone's capacity for emotional depth. Second, the myth that focusing on physical attraction is somehow morally wrong or shallow. Physical attraction is a normal, healthy part of human sexuality and romantic connection. Pretending it doesn't matter or trying to shame people for experiencing it doesn't make it go away. It just makes people guilty about natural feelings. Third, the misconception that this sequence is the same for everyone. While it's true for many men, it's not universal. Some men do develop emotional connections first and physical attraction later. Some people are demisexual and need emotional connection before they can experience physical attraction. The point isn't to apply this pattern to everyone, but to understand that it's a common and normal way for romantic feelings to develop. The integration of physical and emotional attraction. The most successful relationships happen when both physical and emotional attraction are present and continuously reinforced. Physical attraction gets things started and maintains the spark, while emotional connection provides the depth and stability that make love last. Neither element alone is sufficient for a truly fulfilling long-term relationship. Men who understand this sequence can be more intentional about nurturing both aspects of their relationships. They can appreciate their need for physical attraction while also actively working to develop emotional intimacy. They can be more honest about their attraction patterns while also recognizing the importance of moving beyond just physical attraction to build genuine connection. This means being willing to invest time and energy in getting to know their partner on deeper levels. It means being vulnerable, sharing their thoughts and feelings, and creating the kind of emotional intimacy that transforms lust into love. It means recognizing that while physical attraction might get them interested, emotional connection is what will keep them committed long term. For women, understanding this sequence can help in several ways. It can help them recognize that a man's initial focus on physical attraction doesn't mean he's incapable of deeper feelings. It might just be his natural starting point. It can also help them understand the importance of maintaining physical attraction throughout a relationship, not just in the beginning. Practical applications. So, how do you apply this understanding to real-world dating and relationships? First, don't fight against natural attraction patterns. If you're a man, don't feel guilty about being initially drawn to someone based on physical attraction. Instead, use that attraction as motivation to get to know them on deeper levels. If you're a woman, understand that physical attraction often serves as the gateway to emotional connection for many men. This doesn't mean you need to lower your standards or compromise your values, but it does mean recognizing the role that physical chemistry plays in romantic relationships. For both men and women, focus on developing both aspects of attraction. Work on being physically attractive to potential partners while also developing the emotional intelligence, communication skills, and personal qualities that create lasting connections. In existing relationships, continue to nurture both physical and emotional attraction. Don't let physical attraction slide just because you've been together for a while. Keep making efforts to be attractive to your partner and continue investing in emotional connection through quality time, communication, and shared experiences. So there you have it, the real sequence of how many men experience attraction and love. Physical attraction first, emotional connection after, and ideally both elements working together to create something beautiful, meaningful, and lasting. I know this might challenge some romantic ideals and politically correct notions about how love should work. But understanding reality is always better than operating on assumptions and wishful thinking. When we accept how attraction actually works, for many people, we can build stronger, more authentic relationships based on truth rather than idealistic expectations. This doesn't mean that physical attraction is all that matters or that emotional connection is unimportant. What it means is that both elements play crucial roles in healthy romantic relationships, and understanding how they typically develop can help us navigate the complex world of modern dating more successfully. The goal isn't to become more shallow or to focus only on physical attributes. The goal is to understand the full spectrum of human attraction and to work with our natural patterns rather than against them. When we do this, we create space for both physical chemistry and emotional intimacy to flourish, leading to relationships that are both passionate and deeply meaningful. Remember, every person is unique and not everyone will follow this exact pattern. The key is to understand these common patterns while remaining open to the individual differences that make each person and each relationship special. What do you think about this perspective? Does it match your experience, or does it challenge your assumptions about how attraction and love develop? Have you noticed this sequence in your own relationships or in the relationships of people around you? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one and genuinely love hearing your thoughts and experiences on these topics. If this video has given you a new perspective on relationships and attraction, or if it's helped you understand some dating patterns that previously confused you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that dives deep into the psychology of human connection. And remember, understanding how we're wired isn't about judgment or criticism. It's about building better relationships through truth, authenticity, and genuine understanding of human nature. Coming up next week, I'll be exploring how to build lasting emotional connection once that initial attraction is established. We'll dive into the specific strategies and behaviors that help transform lust into love, and how to nurture both physical and emotional intimacy throughout a long-term relationship. Until then, keep questioning conventional wisdom, keep learning about yourself and others, and most importantly, keep building relationships that actually work based on reality rather than fantasy. I'll see you in the next video.